You may have seen the name on the building as you cross the Fremont Bridge into downtown Portland. Zapproved. The woman who founded it inspires admiration among many.
When we first moved in, we had plenty of extra space.
Walk a bit with founder and CEO Monica Enand through the offices of her company, and you will find the trappings of a fun and growing tech operation.
We have a gong. This is where the magic happens. This is the engineering team.
But it was not always this way.
That are building all the great products that we're putting out in the market.
In fact, shortly after its launch, it seemed clear the company would die in its infancy. Zapproved started as a software company that created checkoff approval lists for projects. Companies with far-flung offices or lots of people involved in a project could make sure that everyone approved, which is where the name comes from. Get it? Z and then approved?
Yeah.
Enad agreed to talk with us to share her lessons from the journey to the top, including this first important one.
If you can get comfortable feeling dumb, it's one of the most powerful things you can do for yourself, because it lets you live in these uncomfortable places and really grow. That's where the growth happens.
She's made that a lifelong strength. An internship at Intel in Hillsboro brought her to Oregon in the early 1990s. Enad spent 8 years at Intel, then took a technology sales job at IBM before quitting in 2005 to have children. Still, she kept an eye on the business world and could not resist learning more.
And I got an MBA actually at night at University of Portland. That was a little tough, with kids.
Babies.
I used to take night classes, and my husband would drive the baby, because I was nursing. He would drive them out, and I would run to the parking lot and nurse the kids, and then in the break, and then run back in to take the rest of the class.
Holy cow.
So, yeah.
With her young family in place, she returned to the working world and came face to face with the monster of doubt that so many moms encounter when they go back to work. It brought another lesson.
The most intimidating thing I did was after 4 years of kind of pregnant nursing, having babies for 4 years, actually trying to come back to work. It was the scariest thing I've ever done because, video conferencing had become a thing, which wasn't before, and I didn't know how to do instant messaging was more of a thing. There were all different ways of working. It was super intimidating to try, and you felt dumb because you had been out of the workplace.
And everybody else is just taking it for granted.
Exactly.
Of course, this is what you do.
Exactly. That was definitely the most challenging part of, there have been a lot of challenging parts, but that was one of them.
The lesson? She would put up with the feeling because she knew she could learn the technology. Enad spent a couple of years working at startups run by men and learned another life-changing lesson.
And I realized after watching them that they didn't know everything either. But that didn't stop them from doing it. And I don't know why I always thought they must know everything before they go do it. But at that moment when I realized they don't know everything, but they're doing it anyway and they're learning along the way, why can't I do that? Why did it never occur to me that I might be able to just do it and learn while doing? And that's when I said, to heck, forget about it. I'm quitting my job. I'm taking some money out of my retirement to fund the company. I'm, going to go for it, go hire a few people to come, come work with me. And of course, that was 2008. So it seemed brilliant at the time until the economy started falling apart.
Not in generations has Wall Street absorbed the number of body blows it took today.
The American financial system is rocked to its foundation as top Wall Street institutions topple under a mountain of debt.
So they started this company at about the worst time you possibly could.
Alan Alley is an entrepreneur, a former founder and CEO of a tech company called Pixelworks, and a one-time Republican candidate for governor in Oregon. He was also an early investor in Zapproved.
It wasn't obvious we were going to go into a recession when they started, but very shortly we were in a recession. And I used to tell Monica, you're like a little tiny dinghy in a giant storm in an ocean, because they were a tiny company.
And yet, they hung on.
And I think it's a testimony to not only her entrepreneurial drive, but how she coalesced a team around her that really bonded to survive in this massive, massive downturn with an early stage company, undefined product, and undefined customers.
Those are 3 strikes against
Yeah,
most
no,
people.
they shouldn't have made it.
Wow.
Yeah.
The path was not easy or ever certain. She had sunk hundreds of thousands of dollars into the new company just a month before the economy crashed.
In those days, I quit my job, stopped working, but took money out of retirement, and then the economy was crashing. So not only did I take money out, was spending it, our savings was evaporating like everyone else's. And it was just a very scary time. And I started to realize this was going to be much harder than I thought. We were heading into an environment that was unclear. And there were days where I just said, I don't think I can keep funding this from from our savings was running out. And my husband kind of said, hey, what do you think you're going to do here? And
we're going like this, and we need to go like this.
Exactly. Not sure how long we can do this. And I actually was on the phone with my brother, and I said, I think I'm going to shut everything down. I'm kind of bummed out, because you lose.
You've taken your shot.
Yeah. And he said, absolutely not. You're not shutting anything down. I'm going to wire you some money, keep going, and start raising money.
And so she did. Co-founder Chris Bright had already invested
Monica is one of the most determined and smartest people I've ever met.
and believed in her.
The new form of leadership isn't about not showing that you're having struggle. It's about being vulnerable and being open to using the support and team around you to help make the entire organization stronger. And I think, I don't know, it's like a new generation of leadership, and I think she exemplifies that with just by her very being. She's always been open to advice and to support and help, and that's really what's helped take the company on the journey that it's been on.
As the company struggled for survival, Enand made a critical pivot.
So it became, apparent that to survive, we would have to find something that was not discretionary spend.
While it was nice for companies to have internal checkoff lists, Zapproved's original product, it was not a requirement, a necessity. Zapproved changed to focus on gathering digital documents for the legal community. That was a necessity and survived 2008. They began getting orders in 2009, but business still felt like a battlefield. Another lesson, learning to focus despite fear.
I think at some point you just close your eyes to the fear and you say, I'm just going to execute. There's no point in talking about all the scary things that can happen. We just have to execute, and it's got to be focused on customers. It's got to be focused on delivering customer value, getting customers what they need. And so any idea that you had that you thought you were smart and you thought you had all the greatest ideas, you have to shed all of that and go, I'm going to listen to my customers.
2009 came and went, and Zapproved began to grow.
We're short on space. We're doing a lot of sharing.
9 years later, the company is now thriving with hundreds of customers and money pouring in. It's been purchased by a bigger firm called Vista Equity Endeavor Fund. Zapproved and Enand have collected a shelf full of awards, from Entrepreneur of the Year to Most Admired Company of the Year and more. Her retirement fund is safe again, and her reputation is growing. So what was it that made you willing to invest with Monica?
Sometimes you invest in products, sometimes you invest in markets, and sometimes you invest in people. I always told Monica, you're a billion-dollar CEO, that you're capable of running a billion-dollar corporation. And she is. She's that right combination of inspirational leader, genuinely cares about people, is technical enough to understand kind of how the company works. She is incredibly competent in everything that she does.
She said her board of directors and the equity company have made it clear they want her to keep running the company. She's excited about future products and about anyone thinking of becoming an entrepreneur.
I would just say, go for it. Don't be scared. Learn along the way. No one has all the answers, and just be willing to learn constantly. The rate at which you can learn is much more important than what you know at any given time.